Willow Creek Springs presents Healthy Living with your host, Joe Grumbine.
Well, hello and welcome back to the Healthy Living Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Grumbine, and today I am sitting here in the Anti-Cancer Incorporated Laboratory with my good friend, Dr. Robert Hoffman.
Hi, everybody.
And even my wife is here with us, but she's a little shy. So,
Okay.
anyways, we're just really grateful this whole experience. You know, Robert's been part of this podcast now for about 5 months?
Seems so.
It's been a minute.
Seems forever.
He's been not only following, but helping guide me down this journey of solving my cancer problem. And it's been remarkable to have a man like this in my orbit, and to be able to rely on information that is sound and judged fairly and scrutinized, and I get honest opinions. I can throw this guy a question and know that he's not going to tell me this is how it is. He's going to say, well, here's what I think, and here's why I think that, and here's the evidence that backs it up. And man, that's hard to find these days. You know, you go along and everything's an infomercial. Everybody's telling you how it is, and they're telling you about the study, but they don't show you the paper. They tell you about the evidence, but they don't show you how many people were involved or who paid for it. Or, you know, you're just supposed to take people at their word and their expertise. And you say to yourself, well, why hasn't cancer been solved? And so Dr. Robert Hoffman here, he understands why cancer hasn't been solved, and he's dedicated over 50 years of his life to helping to solve it. And that's where he spends his time, and that's what he does. And I deeply respect that. Robert, what's your thoughts on all this?
Well, my thoughts are is that we need cancer patients like you, Joe, that got your diagnosis and tackled it, did everything in your power to learn and act on it, and you got a fantastic result, and you're sharing it with the world. We need more folks like you. I think that's more important than all the research, all the doctors, to have patients that are really taking charge of their own journey, their own program, getting advice wherever they can, acting on it, and sharing it. This is how we're making progress to against cancer. It's the leading edge are patients like you.
Well,
that's a leading edge.
And I think there's this synergy that has to happen. We have the people doing the research, because the people that are walking the journey, we have to solve our problems. We have to test it. We have to try it. We have to do it. We have to endure it. That doesn't give us any time to sit there and study it and set up
You're studying it every day.
We are, yeah.
It's in your body.
Exactly.
And every day you're studying it more than anybody else can study it.
Well, I think that one of the biggest keys to this, and I think that that's part of why I do this podcast, is to share the information and like,
not only the information, just share yourself.
Yes.
Look at me.
Right.
Look what happened to me.
Exactly.
And this is how it happened.
Yes.
No information can match the information that you learned by yourself from yourself.
And, you know, the more I learn as I'm, you know, getting closer to the other side of this, is how close I came to this not being a good outcome. I didn't realize, you know, I mean, anybody who's listening may not know the story, but originally I had this lump on my neck, and
not lump, grapefruit.
Yeah, well, it started out as a lump, turned into a grapefruit.
Yeah. But
I had a doctor tell me that, you know, it's probably not cancer because you're so healthy. And it's what I wanted to hear. you go to a doctor, he tells you what you want to hear. You're like, oh, good, I'll be okay. And I let it sit there for almost 9 months. And now knowing what I know today about the cancer that I have, it's a very aggressive, very capable, very powerful disease that kills a lot of people. And
Tony Gwynn.
yeah, and just it's cunning. It mutates quickly. It spreads rapidly. It adapts. It upregulates. It's a formidable foe. And now that I'm sitting here going, wow, two things. Number one, I just thought it was going to get okay on itself because I'm a guy who's healthy. I'm a guy who believes in the power of positive thinking and visualization and doing all the right things. And you know, a lot of times it works, but that doesn't mean when you're up against this. And that's one piece of the puzzle. And the other piece of the puzzle was I thought I was doing everything right. And I cut out the sugar, I cut out the carbs, and I was eating tons of protein. And I was living this keto world and the Mediterranean diet and eating fish and good quality meats and sardines and all of this stuff that now I know was feeding the hell out of this cancer. And that's why all the things I did weren't working. Because I was just, on one hand, I was trying to smack it with a fly swatter. On the other hand, I was feeding it everything it wanted to eat, and it just kept growing. And it was really when I got the diagnosis in October of 2024, and it hit me like a ton of bricks when I realized what I was up against, and I just switched this giant breaker switch that says, okay, now I have to solve this. And that's my whole life became that. There was nothing else. I didn't worry about my business. I didn't worry about my friends, my relationships. I just needed to solve this, and started studying and reading and learning and meeting people. And I think what happens, and you know, Robert, you're a guy who's a pioneer. So you get you beam a certain frequency. You think away, and I think people that are aligned with that, somehow we find each other.
Yeah.
And I don't know how it works.
Well, I think there's an intelligence in the universe.
Yes,
It's out there.
absolutely.
And sometimes I feel like I'm just a terminal.
Yeah,
And the intelligence is locked onto my brain.
yeah,
And it is telling me something.
yeah.
Um,
And you know, people call it downloads, they call it projection,
Whatever it is.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, and I don't get hung up on terms. I just know that I agree with you, and I feel like when you put your heart into something, like when you really mean it, and you really mean it, what you're doing is you can feel it. It's you know, your whole presence is put into your work, and it means everything to you, and you can tell. And there's something that you can get out of that you don't get when you're just trying to get the grant money, or you're just trying to get the promotion, or you're just trying to whatever, sell the product or whatever. You don't get that same thing. You don't get that connection for that.
You don't get it.
And I think you have that connection. And I somehow when I found you, I still remember, like, you know, you go through life and you have these little crossroad moments where something happens. I remember when you responded to my email.
Yeah, you signed it, Joe.
Yeah, exactly. And you remember
Joe.
And I remember, yeah.
Dear Joe.
Yeah.
I dear Joe'd you.
Exactly. And then I can remember from there, it just went boom.
Yeah.
And so we've been walking down this path, and you know, for all the listeners who've listened, if you haven't, go back and listen to all the Robert Hoffman episodes and you can get caught up. But we've come all the way from I was looking at getting a surgery, then radiation and chemo, and then we decided that we could go after it with chemo only, along with this diet, the methionase enzyme, oxidative therapies, all the things we're doing. It's never just this one thing. And then we got this remarkable, miraculous result that everybody, the doctors, everybody says, oh my God, how, I have people today going.
Well, I looked at the series of pictures.
Yes.
And It started about 12 days after you started your chemo.
Yeah.
10 to 12 days after the chemo.
Mhm.
You could see the difference.
Oh yeah.
But probably even before that.
Yeah. I felt it right away after about 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
And I started sleeping.
Mm.
That was the difference. Because remember, this thing was so stretched out that it was hitting my nerves. I couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
Couldn't get more than an hour and a half of
Yeah,
sleep a
you
night.
were
And
telling us.
it was destroying me. That was, you don't have an immune system if you're not sleeping.
No.
And after about 3 days of that chemo, all of a sudden I slept for like 6 hours. And I was like, whoa, I could tell it was diminishing. And the nerve.
And even now on your second, how should we say?
Yeah, that seems round 2. That's what I call
round
it.
2.
Yeah, first infusion, round 2. Yeah.
Exactly.
2.1.
2.1. You're feeling it.
I'm feeling it.
Those lymph nodes are receding.
Yeah, what I had left. So just a quick follow up. We had a CT scan about 3 weeks after my last infusion 6-8 weeks ago, and it showed that the primary and the large tumor were gone, and there was still some activity in 2 lymph nodes, but I could feel them. It was like 5 centimeters. It was a decent size still piece left, and we
that's
didn't,
our target now.
we didn't know. It could be necrotic tissue. It could be still active cancer.
The
We're going to assume it's active cancer.
Yeah, and the fact that it's shrinking with the
chemo
with the next round,
right?
It's cancer.
Absolutely. So
we're in the right direction.
So, but what we did was the doctors that were treating me at UCI, and I have nothing but good things to say about UCI. It's been an amazing experience. They're good people. They have a great bedside manner. They're good people, but they're stuck in a box, and they operate from a very rigid system that doesn't allow
rigid system.
It is, and they're all in it. And the thing that I didn't like about them is when I go and I share my thoughts with them, and I said, well, what about this? Or couldn't we do this? We never had a discussion.
Well, I think
it was always just no.
They're so, like most of the cancer doctors, they're so locked into their guidelines.
Right.
And in cancer, there's no answer. There's no answer to cancer.
Right. If the
so for folks.
Hi, this is Joe Grumbine, and I wanted to share an update. The platform that hosts this podcast has made some changes to the subscriber settings, and we have a number of subscriber-only episodes that we offer to the supporters, and for a minimum of $3 a month, we can get you signed up. And if you're already signed up and you're having some kind of trouble locating these episodes in the other platforms, I would say maybe the best answer is to unsubscribe and then resubscribe. I'm sorry for the hassle. I don't have any way to make a change, but I'm very grateful for all the support. Thank you.
To substitute that absence of answers, they have their guidelines.
Mm-hmm.
So they have something to go by.
Right.
And they need that. They got to have it. And so, and that's most of the doctors, they're guideline doctors. And they don't, that gives them confidence in what they're doing. I'm following the guidelines. How can I go wrong?
But the problem with the guidelines are they don't have an end game. They don't have
it's a do game.
Yeah.
It's not an end game.
Right.
It's a process.
They keep you in treatment. You're never out of treatment.
These are the accepted, most accepted guideline treatments. These are the guidelines. It's in the book. It's and as Dr. Exame would always say on our Zoom, cancer patient Zoom, you get the sort of standard guideline, you get the standard outcome.
Right.
And for some cases, that's good.
Well, they're
And
looking
for a
at
lot
5 years,
for a
though.
lot of cases, it means you're going to die real soon.
Right. And they're looking out 5 years is a long time for them. And
Well,
I think to myself,
and for some cancers, essentially nobody can make it to 5 years.
exactly.
Metastatic pancreatic cancer, the patient who makes that for 5 years is like one of these centenarians that lives for 110 years.
Exactly.
It just, they're outliers.
And yet
because
it happens.
Yeah, the treatment that's offered to these people, that it may be necessary treatment, but it's far from sufficient. So we need to be innovative. We need to improve on the standard, and that doesn't make us a bunch of oddballs. We want to improve based on science, and we're doing it.
Well, and
little by little.
The thing is the people that are willing to keep going past where the boundary lies are always chastised. They're always, Dr. Song today was talking about Galileo, how they wanted to run him out on a rail, for his theories.
Well, that's exactly right.
And yet, look at us today.
Well, they so the church had him right by the neck there.
Yeah.
And they made him recant.
Right.
And he said it in Latin or Italian, the planets still move.
Yeah, exactly.
They still move or something. He said,
yeah.
they still move.
Mm-hmm.
And he was what they did to him was an improvement over what they did to Bruno.
Right.
A couple 150 years before, they took him out. They put him on a pyre in the center of Rome and upside down burned him.
Yeah.
Because he said the stars in the firmament are similar to the sun, and there's probably Earths going around them. That was a sin.
Right.
And I'll be straight with people. A lot of people are against me.
Yeah.
And I've been blacklisted or whitelisted, whatever you want to call it, from a lot of things in the cancer world. And in some sense, I'm a little bit proud of that.
I would wear it as a badge of honor.
Yeah,
I would.
And so, I tell the kids sometimes, it's half a joke. I said, the first primate to try to walk on two legs, all his friends, all his relatives says, get down on all fours like the rest of us.
Right, exactly.
So that's the way it is with innovation. Max Planck, one of the greatest scientists ever, the developer of quantum mechanics, he says science proceeds one funeral at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to get rid of these paradigm leaders so the next paradigm has some room.
Exactly.
That's human nature. It's not conspiracy.
No.
It's human nature. So when a new paradigm is raising its head, it's going to get batted down.
But meanwhile, if you keep coming up, eventually the truth gets to poke its way through.
It does.
And truth is a light. Once you poke it through, you can't unpoke
it. Took Moses 40 years to get to the promised land.
Exactly. Okay? And he never made it himself. So
we have to be patient.
Exactly. Well, I think I really feel strongly that is the path that I'm on now. And I think that this challenge that I've faced and it's turned into a gift that I have now. And as I'm overcoming it, I'm not done yet. And I tell everybody, I still got a long way to go. I got a lifetime to go to finish this up.
You're going to have to be diligent your whole life.
But that's okay.
There's no such thing as a cancer cure.
No.
No such thing.
Maybe one day we'll come up with something.
Just
but
maybe.
I don't.
Right now, that's just.
I don't even see that on the horizon. So
a pipe dream.
What we're finding though is a way to. We've already reversed this thing back by 2 years, and if we can reverse it back another 2 years, I mean, hell, it probably took 20 years to get started.
Might have it. It really took a long time.
Yeah, and so I'll be reversing it until I run out of things to reverse it with. But
no, you're not going to run.
But
out.
I'm going to continue doing the
not
things that
run
work.
Out. No.
But meanwhile, we came to this spot where I got the main tumor's gone, and they wanted to hit me with this radiation. And that's their only answer. Everybody, I came up with, what about immunotherapy? No, you don't have it bad enough. And I thought to myself, they didn't even really ever give me a diagnosis that gave a staging.
Well, with immunotherapy, one of the tests is this: if your tumor has a lot of mutations, that makes the immunotherapy perhaps work better. But I think even without that, I think Dr. Song wants to try some immunotherapy on you. I think it's reasonable. You haven't had this test. I don't think you need it, because he's going to do it anyway. So the heck with the test.
Right.
Just go for it.
Well, and that's so what happened was, first of all, back to Dr. Song. We talked about him a little bit, but this is a guy that, Robert, you brought to my attention. You said, this guy thinks outside the box. I knew him 40 years ago. He might be able to help you. And then you were able to connect with him. He agreed to see me. We went and talked to him, shared to him the story. He got visibly upset when he heard what they wanted to do to me, and how well what we already did worked. And that's what he couldn't understand. He's like, but it worked. Why wouldn't they not want to keep going? And I that's what I said. I go, I don't know. I tried to get them to do it.
Because it's not in the guide.
And they wouldn't do
And
it.
if we get off the guidebook, we start feeling insecure.
Exactly.
So the guidebook is the blankie.
And doctors have to take some sort of a risk. I don't know what the real risk is.
Most of them don't want to do it.
Exactly.
They're all worried that they're going to get sued for just doing the guidebook even.
But here's the coolest thing. The insurance, I got a really tough insurance plan. It's not one that just gives you whatever you want. It's a PPO, and it's it's pretty strict. And the insurance approved this chemo-only solution. And so I thought to myself, well, if the insurance is going to buy it, they're not going to approve a treatment that might cause them a giant lawsuit and a big problem. So it's going to be somehow in the book.
Dr. Song was the applicant.
Right.
They probably know him. He's been in the business for 50 years.
Yeah.
And he has a great reputation. So good all around.
Well, for whatever reason, I was able to get it, and the obstacles in the way were fewer and farther between than the last time around. So I got my first infusion on Monday.
First of the second round, 2.1.
2.1. And I carried around the pump until today. And I went in today, and I thought I was just going to get the pump out. And I show up, and it says, "Oh, you're going to get a treatment." And I'm like, "What treatment?" And so three things happened that were different. One, the pump that pumps the 5-fluorouracil for 6 days prior only did for 5 days this time. And I said, hey, that's cool. I'm sure they calibrated it, so I got the same amount of medicine. Yep. I wasn't worried about that. But then all of a sudden I get this second infusion. I'm like, what is this? He goes, it's the rest of your cisplatin. I'm like, okay. And it was Dr. Song, not a nurse, not a physician's assistant, that administered this. And he said, well, it's a very potent drug. And he even shared with me, he goes, I'm one of the guys that helped discover it.
Yeah.
And he says, I was on the team that came up with this. I was like, beautiful. I'm talking to the guy that knows this better than anything in the world. And he says, with the way they give it to you, all at once, he goes, it can have some more toxic side effects.
And that makes all the sense in the world.
Beautiful. Then give it to me. So I had to sit in the office today for another 2 hours. Hey, whatever. That's the least.
There he is again, being innovative.
The least. Yeah, exactly. And
being innovative.
Not only that, but he explained it to me. And he's the one who put it in me. And it wasn't some nurse who didn't know anything.
Yeah.
It was him. And so we get through all this. And then we're talking a little bit, and I asked him about the immunotherapy. So, in the initial consultation, he says, well, I can approve this. I told him about the 3 drugs. He says, yep, that's solid. He had a term for it. It's a cocktail.
Some alphabet soup there.
Exactly. And he's like, yep, that's solid. That's a good protocol. And oh, I know what he said. He said with the fluorouracil, he says we front load it heavy, and then
Therefore, you don't need so many
so
days.
we don't need so many days. And he
Yeah.
said that you can handle it better that way. So
Okay.
his
Nobody knows more than he does.
understanding of how these drugs, he
Yeah.
had this giant book that was like this big, that was chemotherapy drugs and their interactions. It's sitting on the desk. Like, it's something he was just reading. And I'm like, well, I had no idea there was that many chemotherapy drugs and all the
There's
things.
a lot of
There's
them.
a lot of them. So this guy, he knows what he's doing, and he seems to have a reasoning behind it. So during the week, I got a notice from insurance. Every day I get things from insurance. It's just insurance.
Yeah.
I open up some of them I don't. I do the best I can. But this one I happen to open. I go, I don't know. I need to open this envelope. I open it up, and it says you have been approved for this drug, and I didn't recognize the name of the drug.
Keytruda.
Yeah, it was its chemical name,
Yeah.
and so I went and I copied it, looked it up, and I was like, it's an immunotherapy drug. I'm like, oh wow, it looks like they approved me for this
I think
immunotherapy.
because Dr. Song applied for it
And
for you.
he had told me that, well, here's two things that happened. Originally, he said, how were you staged? And I go, I don't know. They never really gave me a staging. And he said after it, he staged it at 4A.
Yeah.
And that was, I guess, the magic number that got it to the insurance.
Mhm.
And I don't think UCI did that. And that's why UCI was like, well, it's not at
They
a
don't
place.
care.
It's not at a place where we could recommend
They
it.
don't care. They don't make more money if they see more patients. They're on a salary. Dr. Song, I know that money's not the most important thing for him, but he's
He's a businessman too.
he's a businessman
People
too.
don't realize that
God
you're a
bless
doctor,
him.
you're a business.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, everything's good about it.
Exactly. So anyways, however he did it, whatever he did, they approved it. Now he told me that this particular therapy is like $11,000 a session. And I was like, well, that's ridiculous. There's nothing. I mean, even if I had that kind of money, I don't think I would spend it on that. I don't know that it would be such a silver bullet that I would.
It's not
say
a silver
that-
bullet.
that's
but
what I
it may help. It may help.
But anyways, I get this thing in, and I was like, they've approved it. And I know there's going to be a copay. Well, I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know if it's something that I can do or not. But I started researching. But of course, I'm going through my chemo, so it scrambles your brains a little bit, makes it a little hard to focus.
Yeah.
I came up with a lot of papers that showed a lot of potential side effects, things that were potentially serious. Organ, your heart, your liver, your kidneys,
Pituitary gland.
your thyroid, all these different things that could be affected. But there wasn't really anything that really showed like what was a determining factor. Like if you had this, then you were more likely. I didn't get to that part yet. And so I just said, well, I just need to do more study. I said, I'll ask him some questions when I see him. And so I did. And he's like, okay, well, what are your questions? And the first thing was, well, seems like there could be a lot of side effects. What, can we do some testing to determine the likelihood of that or the likelihood of success? And he says, I'm doing a lot of blood work. We're going to do all that. And he says, what else? And I says, well, it seemed to me that there was more than one way you could take it. Like you could take it with the chemo, maybe you could take it after the chemo. I was thinking, and I don't know anything. I'm not a scientist. I'm just a guy who trying to get well and pays attention to what I'm doing. But I thought to myself, you're taking it with this chemo. The immunotherapy is trying to work with your immune system, but the chemotherapy destroys your immune system. I said, that seems to be a conflict.
Yeah, it's not destroy, but
Well, it definitely attacks it.
Inhibits.
Yeah, definitely goes after it. And I thought, if you're trying to get your immune system to do its job, maybe if you just did it on its own, give that chemo a chance to do its thing and then go do your immunotherapy. And that's just me with my little pea brain going, maybe that's a good idea. I don't know. Maybe there's something wrong with it. But that was the first thing he said. He goes, we would do it more than a week to 10 days after your chemo so that your immune system gets a chance to reboot.
Fantastic.
And then the other thing he said, with UCI, when I got the pump out, they always injected me with this drug that was supposed to stimulate my bone marrow to generate white blood cells. And I always thought to myself, that seems a little excessive. Like, why don't you give my immune system a chance to do its thing? Like, why do you got to jump start it every time?
Yeah.
And that was what he said. I said, are you going to give me that injection?
CSF, colony stimulating
And
factor or something like that.
Yeah, and he says, I think that's too much. They want to jumpstart you every time, and he says, give yourself a chance to recover, and you don't necessarily need that, And I says, wow, I mean, everything he's doing, he comes up with a reason for it, and my thought was, well, maybe that's a good idea. I mean,
Yeah,
at least
because he's thought about these things for years and years.
Exactly. So I went from, being excited that I got approved for this drug, but I didn't know if I wanted to take it. And I wasn't going to just jump in and just because I could do something. I was just like radiation and surgery. I could have had both of them too, but I didn't want them.
And they would have been approved.
And they would have been approved, and I would have been, devastated. And I think through all of this, I told you I connected with this group of people and through Facebook that it's got like 1,700 squamous cell carcinoma patients and survivors and advocates. And I just keep seeing over and over and over the same thing. And this disease progresses ridiculously fast. It metastasizes everywhere in the body. The standard of care treatments are brutal. Like they cut out chunks of people's heads and their noses and their jaws and their ears. They just hack you up. And I keep seeing
And
pictures.
can you imagine if they would have gone on neoadjuvant chemo like you?
Right. And so now I'm starting to present my story to these people. And I've already had 2 people now reach out to me a little bit wanting to know more.
Of course, you're not just doing the standard neoadjuvant.
No.
You're adding methionine,
All of it.
oxygen,
All of it.
ivermectin.
Yeah.
But the whole concept, why you have to go in with the knife and disfigure people
Right.
when you can start off with some chemo and see how much you can shrink the thing,
Exactly.
or even disappear it. Start off
Give
with
it a
the chemo.
shot.
It's not going to, and
No, I totally
it's
agree.
so much, people say it's so horrible, but it's a lot less horrible than the radiation or surely the surgery.
Well, the radiation is all but guaranteed to leave you damaged for the rest of your life. The surgery is guaranteed to leave you damaged for the rest of your life. Because there's
Well, and head and neck cancer, severely disfigured in many
absolutely.
cases.
And not only just that, but debilitating.
They would have.
Oh, you saw where that thing was. I mean, I would have been a freak.
Yeah.
And then the back of my tongue, they would have taken the whole back of my tongue out. It would have been horrible.
That's horrible.
And I likely would have lost my voice. I
Yeah.
likely would have lost my sense of taste. I mean, look, the chemo's bad enough. Like it gives you a taste in your mouth that is
Of course, so.
just starting to come back again. I'm like, but
It's a big time thing.
you know what? Whatever. You shake it off and you keep going.
Exactly.
You don't, the
Shake it off.
the thing that is the big time thing is when this thing spreads to your lungs and your lymph nodes, and then you wake up dead. That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's the big thing.
Yeah.
And so I just really feel blessed, and I really feel inspired that, there was not one thing. This whole journey.
Cancer is not. You don't treat cancer with one thing.
And that's the key. That
Not at our stage of the knowledge. Oh, no.
everybody has to know. And like Dr. Song, he respected when I told him, the things that I've told him, that I understand what I'm saying and what I don't know. I said, look, I'm just going after my cancer. I don't know what other people's things are doing. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I just know what I'm trying to solve this problem.
Yeah.
And to recognize that this is a unique problem to me. And but when you find a problem that has a lot of common factors, just like the low methionine diet, the methionase, the oxidative therapies, these are things that affect most, if not all, cancers.
Well, exactly.
And so we can extrapolate from trying to solve a very specific problem, some tools that can help maybe most people, if not all people, to some degree. I think that not everybody gets this dramatic result that I got.
No, but everybody can be helped.
Exactly.
And the people that are most diligent do the best. And there's a lot of people that just can't be diligent.
I really
I'm
think
learning that, and
that's
okay,
the hardest part
that's
is,
human nature too. Okay,
especially with you and your treatment and your protocol, it's hard.
yeah, it's hard.
And most people, I just think, don't have the wherewithal to
Well,
stay the course.
and when we had this NIH symposium,
Right.
some of the speakers said, "Oh, we can't keep patients on the
Exactly.
low methionine diet, so we never can do the trials."
Right.
But our Zoom group shows you can.
You
You
can.
can. And I think the reason so many people in our Zoom group stay on it, we've motivated them.
Right. And you show that.
This is the way to help keep you going.
Well, and when you show somebody like Scott or Shahiro or myself with these dramatic, like you were going to die soon. You were metastatic. You had,
Yeah.
you were on a collision course to a grave.
Yeah, that's what they've told President Biden.
I know.
We're just giving you palliative.
Yeah.
And he's probably not much different than Scott.
Exactly. And that's the craziest thing is if somebody was to say, look, we could shift this thing around. There's a thing we could do, and it only took me a couple of months of being on the diet.
If you're not into the paradigm,
exactly,
and the paradigm has not gained dominance, there's not been. We're in the new paradigm, but there hasn't been the shift.
Exactly,
little bit.
It's starting.
It's
this symposium,
yep,
and
that was a big deal.
That I think that's
our cancer patient Dave and
yes,
Dr. Xi XI and at NIH, they are great.
I think it's fantastic. Well, I am just so very grateful for all the work you're doing here, and I think the next time when I come up here, hopefully we'll be able to interview some of the other doctors that are working here.
You got them. I want you to interview Dr. Han. He's a really key person. And Dr. Lee, they're the two key people that make the methionase.
Nice.
The Japanese doctor is doing the leading research. The Korean doctor is doing the leading research.
Nice.
And Jose, the best mouse breeder that ever. Anyway, there's endless things you can talk to people about here.
Well, I love it, and I'm looking forward to maybe when we come back the next time we can talk about your anti-cancer foundation and a little bit about how this came to be and
we can talk about everything.
Excellent. All right, Robert. Well, I am so grateful to be able to share this time with you.
Me too. And the first podcast here at Anti-Cancer with Joe won't be the last.
Absolutely.
And we'll be here, and Liz will be here. We're all going to have a good time.
Excellent. Well, thank you, everybody, to supported the show, and we will see you next time.
This has been another episode of the Healthy Living Podcast. We produce this show so that people can share their stories, people that have overcome obstacles, people that are undergoing obstacles. We're building a community of health-minded individuals. If you're interested in supporting the show, please leave a review on the platform you're listening to it on. If you're interested in becoming a guest, please send an email to itsjoegrumbine@gmail.com, or you can send a note into the notes section of the podcast. All right, well, thank you for supporting this show, and we hope you've enjoyed it.